Before Rolex conquered the ocean, before quartz nearly destroyed Switzerland, before luxury watches became status symbols on Instagram, there was a small workshop in the Swiss Jura where one name began ticking in 1735. But this is not just the story of an old watch brand. This is the story of a company that helped define mechanical watchmaking. Almost disappeared completely, then came back with one of the boldest promises in the entire industry. Blancpain has never made a quartz watch, and it says it never will. This is a story of mountain villages, military divers, complicated movements, near extinction, and one of the most important dive watches ever created. Welcome to Horology Guide, and to another episode in our History of Watchmaking series. Today, we dive into the incredible story of Blancpain. This is the longest episode so far, because we are uncovering the oldest watchmaking brand in the world. The story begins in Villeray, Switzerland, in 1735, when Jean-Jacques Blancpain registered himself as a watchmaker. Blancpain is widely presented as the oldest registered watch brand in the world, with its origin linked to this small village in the Swiss Jura. At the time, watchmaking was not the polished luxury industry we know today. It was a world of candlelight, hand tools, and long winters. Farmers and craftsmen often worked at home, creating tiny mechanical parts during the colder months when the fields were quiet. Blancpain's first workshop was not a grand manufacture with glass walls and marble floors. It was reportedly located on the upper floor of his house in Villeray, the kind of humble beginning that feels almost impossible when you look at the brand today. This matters because Blancpain was born before the United States existed, before the French Revolution, before railways, wristwatches, aviation, scuba diving, and the quartz crisis. For almost 3 centuries, the name Blancpain has been attached to one obsession: mechanical time. For generations, it remained a family business. Fathers passed knowledge to sons, and the workshop slowly evolved from a small artisanal operation into a more organized watchmaking enterprise. A major step came in the early 19th century when Frederick Louis Blancpain modernized the workshops. He is associated with replacing older crown wheel mechanisms with the more advanced cylinder escapement, a technical improvement that helped refine precision and production. Then, in the 19th century, industrial pressure began to reshape Swiss watchmaking. American factories were producing watches efficiently and at scale. Small European workshops had to adapt or die. Blancpain responded by modernizing. In the 1860s, the company built a 2-story factory powered by water from the River Suze, using hydroelectric energy to support production. This is one of those moments in watch history that deserves more attention. Blancpain was not only preserving tradition, it was adapting tradition. That balance would become the brand's identity: old soul, modern instincts. By the early 20th century, the wristwatch was replacing the pocket watch. The world was moving faster. Cars, planes, military technology, modern cities. Watches had to become smaller, tougher, and more convenient. In 1926, Blancpain entered into a partnership with John Harwood, the British inventor associated with the first automatic wristwatch system to be commercially produced. Blancpain helped market automatic wristwatches at a time when self-winding technology was still highly innovative. To modern audiences, automatic winding feels normal. But in the 1920s, it was revolutionary. A watch that wound itself from the motion of the wrist sounded almost magical. No daily crown winding, no forgetting. No broken mainspring from overwinding. This was Blancpain moving with the future again. Not by abandoning mechanical watchmaking, but by making mechanical watchmaking more practical for the modern world. In 1932, the Blancpain family's direct ownership came to an end after more than 2 centuries. Frederick Camille Blancpain's daughter did not wish to continue in watchmaking, and the business was acquired by 2 key employees, Betty Fichter and André Lille. This is one of the most important overlooked chapters in the brand's history. Betty Fichter became one of the first women to lead a major Swiss watch company. In an industry often portrayed as dynasties of men in waistcoats, her role stands out as genuinely significant. The company also had to change its official name for legal reasons, because no Blancpain family member remained in control. It became Rayville SA, successor to Blancpain, with Rayville being a phonetic echo of Villeray. But the spirit of Blancpain continued, and under Betty Fichter, the company would move toward the watch that would make it immortal. After the Second World War, diving was changing. Military divers, underwater explorers, and early scuba pioneers needed equipment they could trust. A watch was not decoration underwater, it was survival equipment. Two French naval officers, Captain Robert Bob Maloubier and Lieutenant Claude Refo, were developing France's combat diving unit and needed a reliable dive watch. Existing watches tested in Paris were too small, hard to read underwater, and prone to leaking. At the same time, Blancpain's Jean-Jacques Victor, who led the company from 1950 to 1980, was himself a passionate diver. His personal diving experiences pushed him to think seriously about underwater timing, water resistance, legibility, and safety. So when the needs of military divers met the imagination of a watchmaker who actually understood diving, something historic happened. In 1953, Blancpain introduced the 50 Fathoms. The 50 Fathoms was not just another water-resistant watch. It brought together many of the features we now associate with the modern professional dive watch. Strong water resistance, a highly legible dark dial, luminous markers, an automatic movement, and a rotating timing bezel. Sources describing the watch's history emphasize that the 50 Fathoms gathered the key ingredients of a modern diving watch in 1953. The name came from its depth rating, 50 fathoms, around 91 meters. Jean-Jacques Victor developed practical safety ideas, including a double-sealed crown to protect against water intrusion and a bezel locking, concept designed to reduce the risk of accidental timing errors during a dive. That last point is crucial. A dive bezel is not there to look cool. It helps a diver track elapsed time underwater. If it moves the wrong way, the consequences can be serious. The 50 Fathoms became a tool, a military instrument, and eventually a legend. It was adopted by professional and military divers, and its influence can be seen across generations of dive watches that followed. We can say that if Blancpain had done nothing else, the 50 Fathoms alone would have secured its place in horology. The 50 Fathoms was born from military and professional need, but diving soon became part of civilian adventure culture. As ocean exploration entered magazines, documentaries, and the imagination of the public, Blancpain expanded the 50 Fathoms family. The bathyscaphe line became a more wearable, civilian-oriented expression of the dive watch spirit. Today, Blancpain still uses the bathyscaphe name within the 50 Fathoms collection. Modern bathyscaphe models combine diving capability with refined design, and Blancpain lists versions with substantial water resistance, automatic movements, ceramic bezels, and long power reserves. The genius of the bathyscaphe is that it does not feel like a costume watch. It carries the DNA of underwater exploration, but it can live on land. That is very Blancpain. Technical seriousness, dressed with restraint. Blancpain's story is not only about divers and technical watches, the brand also has an important place in the history of small mechanical movements. The Ladybird collection is associated with miniature watchmaking and elegant women's watches, showing a very different side of Blancpain's technical identity. This is a good reminder that difficulty in watchmaking is not always about making something huge and complicated. Sometimes the challenge is making something tiny, reliable, elegant, and beautiful. Miniaturization is one of the great tests of mechanical watchmaking. Smaller parts mean tighter tolerances, harder assembly, and less room for error. Where the 50 Fathoms shouted utility from the wrist of a diver, the Ladybird whispered refinement from a jewelry-like case to completely different worlds. Same mechanical obsession. Then came the disaster. In the 1970s and early 1980s, quartz technology tore through the Swiss watch industry. Cheap, accurate, battery-powered watches devastated traditional mechanical brands. Blancpain was not immune. By the early 1980s, the company had been reduced to a shadow of itself. In 1983, Jean-Claude Biver and Jacques Piguet acquired the brand and rebuilt it around a radical idea. The company would focus entirely on traditional mechanical watchmaking. This could have sounded insane. At a time when quartz seemed like the future, Blancpain leaned into the past, but it was not nostalgia. It was positioning. Blancpain declared that it had never made a quartz watch and never would. That philosophy became one of the most famous statements in modern luxury watch marketing, and history proved the gamble right. Mechanical watches did not die. They became emotional, collectible, artistic objects. Blancpain helped remind the world that a watch could be more than accurate. It could be alive. After its revival, Blancpain did not simply make safe dress watches, it went straight for high horology. The brand became known for complicated mechanical watchmaking, perpetual calendars, minute repeaters, split-seconds chronographs, tourbillons, moon phases, and ultra-refined calendar watches. In 1991, Blancpain introduced the 1735 Grande Complication, one of its landmark complicated wristwatches and a statement of what the reborn brand wanted to represent. It is widely cited as one of Blancpain's most important modern achievements. The message was clear. Blancpain was not coming back as a fashion label. It was coming back as a manufacturer of mechanical complexity. The company's modern identity became a bridge between the quiet elegance of Villeray and the full theater of haute horlogerie. Not loud, not industrial, not electronic, mechanical, always mechanical. While the 50 Fathoms represents Blancpain's adventurous side, the Villeray collection represents its classical soul. Named after the village where the brand began, Villeray watches are often elegant, restrained, and traditional. They tend to focus on round cases, clean dials, refined complications, moon phases, complete calendars, and dress watch proportions. This is the Blancpain of quiet confidence. No oversized aggression, no desperate futurism, just balanced design, technical refinement, and a direct line back to 1735. For collectors, Villeray is important because it shows that Blancpain is not only the inventor of a legendary dive watch, it is also a keeper of traditional Swiss watchmaking language. If 50 Fathoms is Blancpain in a wetsuit, Villeray is Blancpain in a tailored evening coat. Blancpain is mostly associated with the sea, but the brand also has aviation flavor through the Air Command line. The Air Command draws from vintage pilot chronograph language, rotating bezels, flyback chronograph functionality, bold numerals, and mid-century military energy. This matters because it gives Blancpain another dimension. It is not only the brand of the deep ocean or classical dress complications, it also understands the romance of instruments. A great tool watch has to feel purposeful. The 50 Fathoms feels like a depth gauge. The Air Command feels like a cockpit timer. Both show Blancpain's ability to turn function into atmosphere. Today, Blancpain sits within the Swatch Group. While maintaining its identity as one of Swiss watchmaking's prestige mechanical brands, Blancpain has been part of the Swatch Group since the early 1990s. Its current collections include 50 Fathoms, Villeray, Ladybird, Air Command, and Messieurs d'Art, covering everything from professional dive watches to classical complications and decorative craftsmanship. Blancpain lists these major collections on its official website. But the most powerful thing about Blancpain today is not just the catalog, it is the consistency of the idea. In a market full of hype, collaborations, celebrity noise, and endless limited editions, Blancpain still carries a serious message. Mechanical watchmaking matters. That does not mean every Blancpain is perfect. No brand is, but few names can connect so many chapters of horological history: 18th century Swiss workshops, industrial modernization, automatic wristwatches, pioneering women in watch leadership, military diving, mechanical revival, and grand complications. That is a huge legacy for one name to carry. Blancpain is not the loudest watch brand. It is not the most obvious status symbol, and that may be exactly why it matters. Its story is about survival through reinvention. A farmhouse workshop becomes a manufacturer. A family name becomes a professional enterprise. A dive watch becomes an icon. A brand nearly erased by quartz returns by refusing quartz completely. That is Blancpain's strange power. It looks backward without being trapped in the past. It respects tradition without becoming a museum piece. And in a world where time is now measured by phones, satellites, and invisible digital signals, Blancpain still insists that tiny springs, wheels, levers, and jewels can carry meaning. Not because they are necessary, because they are human. This has been Horology Guide, and thank you for watching this episode, one of many from the History of Watchmaking series. If you enjoyed this journey from Villeray to the deep sea, subscribe for more stories behind the greatest names in watchmaking, because every watch tells time, but only a few tell history.